Okay, everybody, welcome to our regular Thinking Thursday. We are also going live on Facebook today. And Barsha Punjabi from Hong Kong is going to introduce our speaker today. Barsha ji, please go ahead. Barsha ji, अपने आप को unmute करिए.
Yes. Sorry. Hare Krishna, everyone. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
It's such a pleasure to see everyone again here today. As usual, on every Thursday we meet. And today we are very fortunate to have Shriman Bhakti Vinod Das ji with us today. Shriman Bhakti Vinod Das ji was very fortunate to be born in a Brahmin family. He's been hearing and reading the Vedic Shastras from early childhood. He's been associated with Iskon, the Hare Krishna movement, for more than 30 years. And he's a disciple of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, who is one of the prime disciples of Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Iskon. Sharma ji, please tell us more about how did you first get attracted to this path, and how did you meet your like-minded life partner, Radhika Mataji? It's very rare to see that both husband and wife, are equally devoted to the same path. So over to you, Sharma ji. Please tell us more about yourself and how you got attracted to this path. Sharma ji, you'll have to unmute yourself, please.
I think he got, he's back now.
Yeah. Yes. Sharma ji, please unmute yourself.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So yeah, Varsha ji, you gave a brief introduction.
Oh, sorry. I think you missed. I think were you logged
but you
out?
already gave, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah, but yeah. I can do it again. I can do it again.
I just want to see what you said, then accordingly.
All right. I'm sorry.
I think you
logged out. Yes, my mistake. You must have logged out. All right. Yeah. So Shriman Bhakti Vinod Das ji was very fortunate to be born in a Brahmin family. He's been hearing and reading the Vedic Shastras from early childhood. He has been associated with Iskon, the Hare Krishna movement, for more than 30 years. And he is a disciple of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, who is one of the prime disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Iskon. So Sharma ji, please tell us more about how did you first get attracted to this path, and how did you meet your like-minded life partner, Radhika Mataji? Because it's very rare to see that both husband and wife are equally devoted to the same path. So we would love to hear that from you, please.
Yes, sure.
And I think Radhika Mataji is here also. We would like to see her as well.
She's on her phone listening to our whole session.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's also logged in, but using her iPhone.
Hare Krishna. Yes, I'm here.
Hare Krishna ji. Hare Krishna, Radhika ji. Kaise aap? How are you?
Thank you very much for organizing this and for your kind words of introduction. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we would love to hear you sometime as well.
It will be my pleasure. Thank you very much. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Tripti ji, I think you haven't met Radhika ji. She's a wonderful person, a wonderful speaker. She tells us such beautiful stories. I've heard her once or twice only, but she's a wonderful speaker.
Well, then obviously, like you just said, we will invite her on our Thinking Thursday, and I have to thank you, Varshaji. You always get such amazing speakers for our group here, and
Thank you.
thank you so much, Mataji, for being here with us today. And I extend my warm love and I welcome you on this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Trupti ji. I'm just so touched and overwhelmed by the love and affection that you and Varsha ji are showering upon us, and it's really our good fortune to be able to be a part of this community. And whatever way we can serve and share the knowledge and wisdom of the Vedas, we are most happy to do that. Thank you so much. Hari Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
So thank you, Varshaji, for giving a very nice,
Hare Krishna.
sweet information, introduction about me. So yeah, what you asked me, as you said also, that I'm very fortunate to be born in a nice family, Brahmin family, and then this was like family culture from childhood. I was introduced to the scriptures, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. Even in college days, it was a practice to go to college before going to college, read from at least one chapter from either Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. So it was a practice when we grew up. And yes, then Krishna arranged when I came to Hong Kong, a place like Hong Kong, which is known as the hub of the materialistic world. So in such a place also, Krishna was very kind. He has been very kind, and he showered his mercy upon me so that I could get in touch with the devotees of Hare Krishna movement, the
Sharma ji,
International Society for Krishna
sorry to
Consciousness.
interrupt, Sharma ji. Can you please increase your volume, the volume of
Cannot
your,
hear?
a little bit louder. Somebody says, they can't hear. Maybe, maybe a little
Okay.
louder.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry.
No. Am I audible now?
Yeah. Wonderful. Very nice.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, what I was saying that by Krishna's mercy, I was able to find devotees of Krishna here in Hong Kong, and I started going to the temple. Finding this Iskon temple, Hare Krishna temple in Hong Kong, also was a very wonderful, I would say, coincidence. Generally, nothing happens in this world by accident. Krishna has his hands, in our life when we are desiring something, uh, seeking something, some kind of knowledge. So I remember that day. It was 1991 August Janmashtami festival, which was celebrated here in the Happy Valley Hindu temple, the biggest temple we have here in Hong Kong, Hindu temple. So I met one guy there, and he told me that why don't you go to the Iskon temple? They will be celebrating Janmashtami tomorrow. That means the next day. And sometimes it happens, because we follow Vaishnava calendar. So according to the Hindu Smataka Brahmins calendar, the Tithi may be one day before the day when we celebrate. So that year also, Janmashtami festival was celebrated on the next day, which was according to the Vaishnava calendar. So he gave me the address of Iskon temple here in Pimsachui in Hong Kong. So I went to that temple, and then I got hooked on. From that day onwards, I started going to the temple every day, practically every day. And it may be surprising for you to hear that that person who gave me the address of Iskon temple here in Hong Kong, who met me at Happy Valley Temple, I have never seen that person in the Iskon temple in Hong Kong. He personally have never visited the temple, but I see him sometimes in Chimsachui. I think because he lives nearby. So yeah, this is I would say it is Krishna's real causeless mercy. So yeah, from that day onwards, I started going to the temple. I started reading Prabhupada's books, the Bhagavad Gita one member showed earlier, which she got from I think Amazon. She said,
Amazon.
yeah,
Yes.
yes. So yeah, so I read that Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna allows me to be engaged in the service in the temple. Sometimes I give discourses on the festival days. I generally give weekly discourse. Tomorrow, Friday, every Friday, I give discourse on Bhagavatam in the morning, Bhagavatam. So yeah, so now earlier what we communicated corresponded, Vashaji, we chatted with each other, and I think you discussed with Truptiji also about how to proceed because this subject matter is very vast and very deep.
Right.
So it is good, if it will be good that if we can keep this discussion on. And the time we are living in Kali Yuga, these kind of discussions are very much needed, because it may be surprising for you, but I was also surprised when I mingle with Indian community people in Hong Kong. Though they go to the temple regularly, they attend the programs and all that, they do satsang also at home. But I was surprised to hear that many people, they did not know the difference between Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. They thought it's the same thing, but actually it's not the same. Bhagavad Gita is a scripture which was spoken by Krishna. The instructions given by Krishna to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. When Arjuna did not want to fight, then Krishna had to give him the knowledge, Bhagavad Gita, in the poetry form, Gita. So in a poetry form. So that's the instruction. Those are the instructions given by Krishna to Arjuna. That is Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavatam is about Krishna, about his different incarnations, and particularly about his original form. In the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, it is explained very nicely. Shukadeva Goswami explains very nicely the pastimes from the birth, from the time Krishna appeared in this world, till the time he left this world. So in the Bhagavatam, which we are going to discuss about, so there are 12 skandhas, 12 cantos. Different scriptures, they have different sections. Like Bhagavatam, we call skandhas. And Padma Purana, we call khandas. Ramayana, we call kandas. And Mahabharata, we call parvas. So there are different sections. So each section, there are different chapters. So in Bhagavatam, there are 330 plus chapters and 18,000 shlokas. In Bhagavad Gita, there are 700 shlokas. And in Bhagavatam, there are 18,000 shlokas. Now, what was the need of Bhagavatam to appear in the written form? This is called Shabda Vesha Avatar of Krishna, literary incarnation of Krishna in the word form. Because after Krishna left, then the sages, they were quite concerned that what will happen to this material world. Because now the next incarnation of Krishna in Kali Yuga, it will happen at the end of Kali Yuga. Though Krishna appeared in the Buddha form in the earlier part of Kali Yuga, but the mission of that Buddha incarnation was something different compared to the other avatars of Krishna. So then sages were very much concerned, very much worried what will happen to this creation and what will happen to the human beings. Because human beings are considered as the topmost creatures. And when anybody is at the top level, the responsibility of the person also is the most. So the human beings, they have the highest responsibility in the creation. In a way, it is said human beings, they have much more responsibility than the demigods. Demigods are like the caretakers. But human beings, they are supposed to take care of the demigods also and the other creatures in the creation also. I would like to, as I said, I want to make it interactive. I would like to ask a question, if somebody can answer. How many species of life are there in creation? How many yonis are there in the creation?
84.
84 lakhs.
84 lakhs. 8.4 million. And from 84 lakhs, do you know how many are the human beings?
4 lakh. 4 lakhs.
4 lakhs. Very good. 5%. So 4 lakhs, they are divided in different categories. So yes, human beings are 4 lakhs. The lowest number, lowest percentage is human beings. So from that also we can understand that how significant this form of life is. So coming back to the point, the sages, they were very much worried. So what will happen to the human beings, because they will be bereft of the knowledge. In Kali Yuga, our lifespan is the shortest. How many yugas are there?
4.
4 yugas. Matadi, can you
4 yugas.
Can you name the yugas?
Satyuga, Srita Kali Yuga,
Dwapar Yuga.
sorry, Dwapar Yuga and then Kali Yuga.
Correct. Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and
Dwapar
Yuga.
Yuga and Kali Yuga.
And what is the duration of Kali Yuga?
That is
5,000 years.
4,48,000 years.
4,32,000 years.
Yeah.
432,000 years. And then Dwapar Yuga, the double.
Double of
Kali
this,
Yuga.
and Treta Yuga is triple of this, and Sati
Very good.
4 times of this.
Correct. Correct. So, according to the duration of Yuga, the lifespan of human beings was decided.
Yes.
So, in Satya Yuga, the human beings, they used to live for
1
hundreds of
lakh
thousands
years.
of years. Yes.
1 lakh. 1 lakh.
Correct. 1 lakh years. And then in Treta, 10,000 years.
10,000 years.
Dwapar, 1,000 years. And in Kali Yuga, supposed to be 100 years. Now, if somebody is able to live for 100 years, his name will come in the Guinness Book of World Record. But human beings in Kali Yuga, they are supposed to live up to 100 years. Correct? So now in Kali Yuga, our life is the shortest. And Kali Yuga has other faults as well. Like our memory is not sharp, intelligence is diluted, consciousness is polluted, right? Our perception is not right. So all these kind of faults we have. So considering all the defects of Kali Yuga and the faults of human beings, the drawbacks of human beings, the weaknesses of human beings, the sages are very much concerned that what human beings will do, what can they do to be liberated, to be freed from the bondage of cycle of birth and death, right? So according to the Yuga, according to the duration of life for human beings, the Yuga Dharma was recommended. In Satya Yuga, because the lifespan was 100,000 years, so people were able to do the tapasya, meditation, dhyana. Dhyana was the Yuga Dharma. And then in Treta Yuga, yajna, sacrifice, fire sacrifice, yajna and homa were recommended to be elevated on the spiritual platform and eventually get liberated. And then in Dwapar Yuga, the Yuga Dharma was deity worship, puja, Vishnu puja. Now in Kali Yuga, like, most of the time we hear and we tell other people also, we have a disease called no time. We don't have time for these things. We don't have time even to do the deity worship. Now our custom, our Indian custom is such, we have small altar, small temple. Most of the people, they have it. And they keep small deities in the small altar, the temple. But most of them, in general, I'm talking about, most of them, they don't do the regular deity worship. Many people, they just keep the deities as like a showpiece. They decorate it very nicely, when the guests go there and some visitors visit them. But as far as the deity worship, regular deity worship is concerned, hardly anybody does that nowadays, because people, they don't have time. They are so much focused and so much occupied in making money. Now, our Vedic scriptures, our Vedas, they do not discourage us from making money. We have to survive in this world, so we need to earn our livelihood. There is no problem with that. But we should not become so much focused and so engrossed that, we forget about our mission of life, mission of human life, the goal of human life. The human life is very rare. And most of you must be from the Indian background. What is mentioned in the Bhagvatam Puran? It is said that out of millions and millions of the living beings, Atmas, very few living beings qualified to get the birth of in the human form of life. And out of those qualified, deserving living beings who qualify to be born in a human form of life, they are very selected, very few. They are allowed to take birth on the Bharat Varsha in the Indian subcontinent. Originally, actually, the whole Earth planet was Bharat Varsha, but now it is limited to the Indian subcontinent. So people who are born in the Indian culture, in the Vedic culture, either within India or outside India, but in the Vedic family. So such people are very, very fortunate. Now, if Krishna has allowed us to be born in that culture, in that culture's family, in that tradition, so we should take the advantage of that. We should not miss it. If we miss it, then nobody else is to be blamed. So human form of life is gateway. Either it can allow us to go to the higher planetary system, or even liberated, or go to the hellish planets, lower planets. I want to ask a question, because many times this topic has been discussed when we do the satsang in people's homes, in Hong Kong and other places also. And in India also, generally this topic comes up. Like Swarga and Narka. Many times people, they say, Swarga and Narka, everything is here on the earth planet. There is no separate Swarga or separate Narka. There is no different separate heavenly planets or the hellish planets. Everything we can experience, we can see around the earth planet. Now, how many of you agree with this? Does anyone have any other opinion? Any other thought?
Like I have read in the laws of spirit world that clearly says that there are 7 lokas, and we started, हमारा जन्म जो है वो 4th और 5th लोक के बीच में से हमारा as a मनुष्य योनि में जन्म हुआ, and then further in each loka there are 7 levels. According to that, so this is what I have read in.
Very good, Mataji. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
See, overall, what our scriptures describe the creation. Overall, I would just touch overall concept. There are 14 different levels, different realms in this universe, in this Brahman. And again, when we talk about Brahman, there are innumerable Brahmans in the creation, innumerable. And in each Brahman, there are innumerable planets. So in this Brahman, there are 14 different levels. So 7 levels above the Earth planet, and 6 levels above the lower the Earth planet, below the lower Earth planet. So total 14. Earth is in the middle, right? Sorry, 6 above, 7th is Earth, and 7 below the Earth. So total 14. Now Earth is in the middle. Because it is in the middle, we can experience the feelings what we get. Sometimes we feel as though we are in the heaven, or sometimes we feel it's very hellish situation, because we're in the middle. But that doesn't mean that there are no separate heavenly planets or separate hellish planets. 6 levels above heavenly planets, and 7 levels below, they are hellish planets. So I won't go into details on those. Later on, when we continue our discussion, we can go in more detail. So yes, so there are different planets known as heavenly planets and hellish planets. So human form of life is a gateway. If we do good karma, pious activities, we can go to the heavenly planets. And if we qualify by performing devotional service very sincerely, and that also unto Krishna, so we can qualify to be liberated completely. Because Swarga Loka also, heavenly planets also, they are in the material world. Right? So if we want to go to the spiritual world, that is the actual moksha, actual mukti, true liberation. To go to the spiritual world, then there is no need to come back to the material world. Many people, even in India also, they have this understanding that, going to Swarga means uski mukti ho gayi. Wo mukt ho gaya. Swarga Loka is not mukta. It doesn't give us moksha.
No.
Right?
Yes.
Mukti means beyond the material creation. We go to the spiritual world and we get the spiritual form. This is material form. This body is made of panchatattva. And our soul is confined in this material body. So we are not this body. The person living in this body, that is our true identity. But unfortunately, the bondage is so strong. And because we are influenced by the mode of ignorance, we think that we are this body. because of tamoguna. We identify ourselves with the body. We have forgotten our true identity. Whatever activities we do in this material world, they are influenced by our false ego. We have forgotten our true ego. Our true ego is the Atma Tattva. We are not this Sharir Tattva, right? So human form of life is very rare. And now because taking birth or to be able to be born in the Vedic culture, it is very, very, very rare according to Bhagvatam Puran. So now we need to take advantage of that. And it is our responsibility also. Not only we should learn from Vedas, equip ourselves how to get liberated, how to become free from the bondage of birth and death, but we should educate others also. We should help others as well. If we are born in this culture, it is our responsibility. And if we fulfill that responsibility, it is very pleasing to Krishna. When we preach Krishna's glories to others, Krishna feels very happy. In the scriptures, in the Bhagavatam and other Puranas, it is mentioned there are 4 categories of people. They get same kind of benefits. The speaker, person who speaks, people who listen, people who ask questions, and those above all these 3, and those people who make arrangements, who organize such events. So speaking from today's events, Varshaji and Truptiji, you are the most fortunate souls today. Did you hear, Truptiji?
Thank you.
Thank
Because
you so much.
you took initiative, you took trouble to organize this event. So Krishna will be very, very pleased with both of you.
Thank you so much.
You deserve it. So now, what I was talking to you about, the sages, they were very much concerned that what human beings will be able to do, what they should do in Kali Yuga, so that they don't fall in the trap of the repeated cycle of birth and death. So at that time, they were organizing a big yagna, and that yagna was going to last for thousands of years. Now you can imagine that the yagna, which can last for thousands of years, in today's world, even the yagna, which may last even for 1 hour, people, they feel so uncomfortable while sitting for the yagna, right? Because our body cannot cooperate with us. We have this kind of pain, that kind of pain, we feel uncomfortable. We cannot sit in the cross-legged pose also, many of us.
Actually, it is done in closed rooms. Then इतना सारा धुआं होता है. That is also they are not used to. पुराने जमाने में ओपन में होता था तो they were used to.
That also is true, yes. But I'm just talking about.
आंखों से आंसू बहने लग जाते हैं 1 घंटे.
हाँ, तो वो तो आंखों की शुद्धि होती है ना. केवल नेत्रों की शुद्धि नहीं होती है. हमारी जो दृष्टि होती है, दृष्टि वाक्य में जो दृष्टि होती है, our vision, not only the eyes, but our vision also gets purified. Then we can see beyond what is visible. So coming back to that point, so then sages, they were organizing that yagna. At that time, Suta Goswami arrived there. You might have heard the name Suta Goswami. Anybody? Have you heard the name Vyasadev? Vedavyas?
Yes.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
He wrote Mahabharata.
Yeah, he compiled Mahabharata. He compiled all the Vedas actually.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the compiler. He is also incarnation of Krishna. And he compiled the whole Vedic literature. 18 Puranas, 108 Upanishads, 4 Vedas. He's the one who did this job.
And his father has written the astrology, Parashar Muni.
Yes, part of it. Bhagavatam Muni also read astrology, Prabhu Samhita.
Yes.
So yes, Parashara Muni also is a great sage. Now, since you brought up about this Parashara Muni, we many times when we do go to temple, any Devata's temple, many times we address that Devata is Bhagavan, right? What is the meaning of Bhagavan?
भगवान भगवान तो एक ही है,
कौन है?
देवता नहीं, देवता तो अंडर में है।
हाँ, मैं क्या कह रहा था कि देवताओं को भी लोग भगवान करके पूछते हैं।
हाँ करते हैं, क्योंकि वो देते हैं ना।
जैसे गणपति
इच्छा
को भी कहते
पूर्ति
हैं
करते
गणेश
हैं।
भगवान। हाँ,
हाँ,
गणेश को भी कहते हैं भगवान। हाँ,
यस
अभी हम इतना दूर क्यों जाए? हमारी गृहस्थ जीवन में भी लोग अपनी पत्नी को भगवान कहते हैं। वैसे शब्द है भाग्यवान, लेकिन
हाँ
उसका हो गया भगवान।
सही है, जो
हाँ,
भगवान।
हाँ, क्योंकि उनकी इच्छा पूर्ति होती है ना।
यस
तो मैं यहाँ व्हाट आई वाज गोइंग टू से दैट पराशर मुनि डिफाइन, he gave the definition of the word भगवान. उन्होंने कहा कि जिस व्यक्ति में कम से कम ये 6 गुण होने चाहिए, 6 qualities. If any person possesses these 6 qualities minimum, that person can be worshipped and treated as Bhagwan, not otherwise. I will not go into details, otherwise the whole session will become longer. So Parashar Muni, since you brought up this word, Parashar Muni, his name, he is father of Vyasadeva. And Suta Goswami is a prime disciple of Vyasadeva, Vedavyas. And who is Vedavyas' son?
शांतनु, शांतनु
Shantanu? Vedavyas' son?
next to next
वशिष्ठ जी, वशिष्ठ
Shantanu was the sorry?
वशिष्ठ गुरु वशिष्ठ ना?
no, no, नहीं,
Not Vedavyas. Vedavyas' son is Shukadev Goswami.
Okay, yes.
Swami.
Shukadev Goswami is the one who recited the Bhagavatam. First Bhagavatam was recited by Shukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. You must be familiar with Parikshit Maharaj. Who is Parikshit Maharaj?
Abhimanyu's son. Yeah.
Yes, Abhimanyu and Uttara's son, Arjuna's grandson.
Arjuna's grandson.
Yes.
Correct? So Parikshit Maharaj heard Srimad Bhagavatam first time from Shukadev Goswami. So when Shukadev Goswami was reciting the Bhagavatam, narrating the pastimes of Krishna to Parikshit Maharaj, Suta Goswami was there. He was present there. So Suta Goswami heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadev Goswami, and then when he arrived, Suta Goswami arrived in the assembly of the sages. Thousands of sages were there. So then sages, they welcomed him and asked him. Now this question, many times it may bother us also. And this question is the beginning point of Srimad Bhagavatam. Same question was asked by Parikshit Maharaj to Shukdev Goswami, and same question the sages asked Suta Goswami. Suta Goswami is the one who heard the Bhagavatam from Shukdev Goswami and who was a disciple of Shishya of Vedavyas. So now this question is very important. In summary, I'm just telling you this question. They asked a question from Shukdev Goswami or Suta Goswami, what one should do when
Yes.
he is about to die.
Yeah.
What one should do?
नाम जप,
Sorry?
नाम जप, हरि नाम जप.
Very true, very true. Why do you say Hari Nam Jap?
Because जो अंतिम श्वास में जो आप ध्यान करेंगे वहीं आपको नेक्स्ट जन्म मिलेगा, अगर ईश्वर कृपा हुई तो.
Very true, very true.
correct.
This is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
He told Arjuna, जिस व्यक्ति का मन ध्यान किसी वस्तु पे किसी व्यक्ति पे केंद्रित होगा, उसके अनुसार ही उसको अगला जन्म मिलेगा, अगली योनि मिलेगी. Now, is it easy to do Naam Jap at a time of death, when you are about to die, when our soul is about to leave the body? Is it easy?
Not possible for everybody.
Not possible for everybody. Very seldom you will find some fortunate souls who can do that. उसके लिए अभ्यास चाहिए. और हमारी भारत की भी प्रथा, हमारे समाज में ऐसी प्रथा चल पड़ी है. You know, if in young age some people start going to the temple, लोग उसको कहेंगे ये भावना हो गया है.
Yes.
ये पगला गया है. हाँ? ये सब काम तो वृद्धावस्था में करने चाहिए. हाँ? युवावस्था में तो कमाओ और मौज करो. Right? The young age is to earn and enjoy. Going to the temples, visiting temples, and reading from the scriptures. All these things should be kept for the old age. Right? Am I right or not? Many people, they say that. Or most of the people, they say that nowadays.
Right.
Now, I want to ask you, can anyone define old age? What does it mean by old age?
50
What is your
plus.
understanding about old age?
50 plus, or maybe after retirement.
That is the general concept, or rather, I would say, misconception people have. I would like to share with you one incident. It happened in the US when Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of Hare Krishna movement, when he was in the US. So he rewarded sannyas to one young disciple, American man. He was in his mid-30s. So there was a big ceremony, big yajna was being performed to give him sannyas ashram, initiate him in sannyas ashram. He was accepting sannyas ashram, renouncing the world. He wanted to be the full-time preacher. So one reporter, local reporter, happened to be there. So then he told Srila Prabhupada that Swamiji, because he had read about Hinduism. So he told Prabhupada, Swamiji, I have heard that in Hinduism, there are 4 different stages in life. Sannyas ashram is the last stage. And normally it should happen after 75. 700 years life is divided in 4 parts. Brahmacharya ashram, Grihastha ashram, Vanaprastha ashram, and Sannyas ashram. So this fellow is in his mid-30s. And how come you are making him sannyasi? So Prabhupada asked this reporter, how do you define old age? Reporter was puzzled. He did not have a ready answer. Then he thought about it, and then he said, yeah, when somebody is about to die, when the person becomes old, body becomes old, when somebody is about to die, it's old age. So Prabhupada asked him a quantum question. Do you have any guarantee how many years are you going to live here?
Very true. Yes.
We have not signed any contract with Lord Brahma. That's certain number of years we are going to spend on this earth planet. Right? We don't have that agreement. We don't know our future. Each moment, our body is decaying. Each moment, we are getting closer to the death. Now, sometimes when these kind of topics are discussed, sometimes in the temple, or sometimes, at somebody's house program. So some people, they don't want to hear these things. They say, why are you being so negative? Life is full of happiness and all that, you enjoy life. Why you people, especially once it happened in the Iskon temple, when I was talking about these things, one man, he said that, you Iskon devotees are very negative. Why you present our life is so miserable? So I just gave him an analogy. I said, supposing it was typhoon season in Hong Kong. I said, suppose, the news reader in the evening when there is news, the news reporter says that, because of the typhoon, so many buildings were damaged, so many structure collapse and all that. So will you tell that news reporter that the person is very negative? The reporter is just reporting what happened. And we are also reporting what Vedavyasa has written in the Bhagvatam. The material world is like that. So it is better for us to accept the reality. Don't be in illusion. Ignorance can be blissful, but for ignorant people. People who are wise, who have some wisdom, some intelligence, for them, ignorance can become miserable. That's why people, they seek for knowledge, because nobody wants to be remain ignorant. So we need to accept the reality. Sooner the better. So the reality of life is like that. We don't have any guarantee that how many years we are going to live here. So each moment we are getting closer to the death. So each moment we should take advantage of. So Prabhupada, when he said like that news reporter was completely blown away. He said, oh my God, what a wisdom. So coming back to this point. So we don't have any guarantee of our life. So we should take advantage of that. So when I was talking to you about Suta Goswami and Parashar Muni also, the way he defined, give the definition of Bhagwan. Just to conclude very quickly what we discussed. So when Suta Goswami was there, and this Parikshit Maharaj asked question to Shukdev Goswami, and sages asked the question to Parikshit Maharaj. What should one do when the person is close to the death? So Harinam Kirtan, yes, it is not so easy. We need to have abhyas of that. Regularity has to be there. When we are regular, then we will be able to do it. Now, it may sound again a bit negative, but that's a fact. It is mentioned in Garud Purana. What happens at the time of death to a human being? If anybody is familiar with yoga or Ayurveda, that person may know. Does anyone know that how many types of air in our body we have?
10 types.
How many
Sorry,
types of?
10.
How many
10.
types of air?
5.
प्राण वायु अपान वायु और 2-3 नाम है बाकी याद नहीं
प्राण, अपान, व्यान, उदान, समान.
Yes. Those are the 5 main. There are 5 subsidiary also.
Yeah, total 10.
Kurma, Dhananjaya, Naga, like that. So there are 10 different types of Vayus, 10 different types. So now it is said at the time of death, when the soul is about to leave the body, with the soul, our false ego, our intelligence, our mind, and 9 types of air, they leave the body. 9 types of air, they leave the body when the soul leaves the body. 1 type of air still remains in the body. And that type of air, which remains in the body after the soul has left, that is called Dhananjaya Vayu. And specific duration, 3 hours plus duration it is given, that Vayu remains in the body. And that's the reason, now it may be evident from the modern science, what the modern science has concluded, that if any organ is removed from a dead person's body within 3 hours after the person died, then that organ can be reused for somebody else. After 3 hours, that all organs also give up. Because that air is still there, Dhananjaya air is still there in the body. So some kind of energy is still there in different organs in the body. And those organs can be reused if any organ is removed from the body within that 3 hours span of time. So now, try to understand what I'm going to say here, what I'm trying to say here. Even to release 1 type of air, apana vayu, sometimes when it gets trapped, it becomes so difficult. We feel so miserable, right? Most of you must have experienced. You must have seen people, how they suffer when that apana vayu in the lower abdomen, it gets trapped and it's not released from the body. लोग कहते हैं ना, मेरा जी बहुत मचलाता है, शरीर में कंपनी हो जाती है. The body starts shaking, trembling, shivering. If that 1 type of air is not released, so then what to speak of when the 9 types of air are leaving at the same time? How much painful the person would feel. And that kind of experience of pain, is paristhiti mein, in that kind of condition, nobody can think of God. तभी नाम स्मरण नहीं होता है. तभी वही पीड़ा होती है कि मुझे क्या हो रहा है, इतनी पीड़ा मुझे क्यों हो रही है. People, they start crying because of the pain they experience. So these also facts mentioned in the Garud Purana. In Garuda Puran, it is said that the pain the person experiences at the time of death, when the soul is about to leave the body, it is equivalent or little more pain than what a person would experience when thousands of scorpions bite the person at the same time. सहस्रों वृश्चिक बिच्छू जब ये काटते हैं तो वो जो दर्द पीड़ा होती है, उस दर्द के समान पीड़ा होती है जब भी 9 प्रकार की वायु आत्मा के साथ हमारे शरीर को छोड़ के जाती है. It is said that the snake bite can be more poisonous, more fatal. But when it comes to pain, scorpion bite is more painful than the snake bite. So ऐसी जब भी पीड़ा होती है तो व्यक्ति कहाँ भगवान का नाम स्मरण करे? हाँ, वो व्यक्ति कर सकता है जिसको उसका अभ्यास हो, जो जीवन भर भगवान का नाम स्मरण करते रहता है, भगवान की सेवा करते रहता है. और उसका तात्पर्य ये नहीं है कि पूरा दिन 24 घंटे माला लेके बैठ जाओ. भगवान ऐसा नहीं कहते. Whatever responsibilities we have, whatever duties we need to perform in this world, we should perform. But we should not forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Krishna. We should always remember him. And Krishna, particularly for the people in Kali Yuga, people like us, who are very degraded. ऐसे मनुष्य लोगों को, ऐसी जीवात्माओं को कलयुग में भेजा जाता है जो सबसे घिरे हुए हों. People who are completely degraded, such people are forced to take birth in Kali Yuga. जैसे हम जब स्कूल में पढ़ते थे, when we were studying in schools, you must have experience in primary school, secondary school. So students who are not so sharp, so brilliant, for them the division would be different. The students would be very bright, they would be in a different division. Have you experienced that? Did you experience that?
Yes.
Different divisions for different class of students.
Yes.
So because we are very degraded, that's why we have taken birth in this Kali Yuga. But we are very fortunate also. Because as I said, in Satya Yuga, Dhyan, Tapasya, Sahasravashta, thousands of years, Tapasya required. In Treta Yuga, Yagya required. In Dwapar Yuga, Murti Puja required. But in Kali Yuga, only Naam Smaran. So Kali Yuga में मुक्ति का साधन भी बहुत ही सरल है. साधन बहुत सरल है, लेकिन हमारे लिए बहुत कठिन है. Because we are not willing to. कभी कभी ISKCON devotees लोगों को कहते हैं कि we appeal to you, we keep on requesting to you, chant the holy name of the Lord. And you people always come with the answer, can't. That's the tragedy, right? That's the sad part. Chanting cannot be possible, so in this Kali Yuga. It is very rare. Now, how can it become possible? How can it become easier? When we start associating with the devotees who regularly chant. तो वो प्रोत्साहन मिलेगा. We'll get a moral push, spiritual push. And we will get inspired. So to get inspired, we need to always associate with the devotees. Now, coming back to this part, when Suta Goswami was asked this question, that what one should do at the time of death, then Suta Goswami told them the same incident what happened between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami. Parikshit Maharaj also asked him the same question. And what reply Shukdev Goswami gave, that same reply Suta Goswami gave. Now, I'll go a little in background. What was the reason that Parikshit Maharaj had to ask this question from Shukdev Goswami? What was the need for him to ask this question? He was an emperor of the whole world, whole earth planet. After Pandavas left, Parikshit Maharaj was appointed as the emperor, the grandson of Arjuna, son of Abhimanyu. So he was not lacking anything. And he was young. He was not an old person. He was a young guy. So what was the necessity for him to ask this question from Shukdev Goswami? Does anyone know?
Prabhuji, can I try?
Yes.
Because he got a curse that Takshak Nag is going to kill him on the 7th day. So,
Very true.
Yeah.
Yes. So Shringi Muni, Shringi Rishi had cursed him.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was a young sage, sage's son. So he cursed him. Now, why did he curse Parikshit Maharaj? Parikshit Maharaj was a very noble king, very kind-hearted, compassionate king, He was a protector of all the citizens. And he used to respectfully serve the sages. So what was the need for this young rishi to curse him in the first place? Can anyone say something?
He had
Father was doing some tapasya, and this Parikshit Maharaj done something wrong to him. Exactly, I don't know what wrong he has done to him. And his
Yes.
son has cursed him that he will be killed by a Takshak Nag after 7 days.
Yes,
Like
yes, yes.
And when his father was, then his father told that he had not done this wrong knowingly, and that's why he has given him blessing that he will get moksha and like that.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Yes, what you said is the right. So the details are like that, that now see, different incidents are there in our scriptures. These are Puranas. These are not fairy tale stories. These are not mythologies. These are not mythological stories, made up stories. These are incidents, itihasa. We call them itihas, histories, the incidents which happened in the past. Unfortunately, many Indians, even many educated intellectual Indians also, they address these scriptures as mythological stories. These are not mythological stories. Mithya means the thing which is not true. Myth. English word is myth. In Sanskrit, we say mithya. So something which is made up, that is called mithya. So Vedavyas did not make up all these stories. He recorded the incidents, historical incidents. In the Bhagavatam, the historical incidents, they are not in chronological orders because it is based on the conversation. So as and when whatever questions were asked by Parikshit Maharaj, then Shukdev Goswami answered the questions. So that's why all the incidents, they don't come in the chronological order. So coming back to this point, why Parikshit Maharaj was cursed? Now Parikshit Maharaj was a very pious, very religious, a king who always was abiding by the religious principles, injunctions given in the scriptures. So what wrong he did that the sage, young sage, had to curse him? Now from this small incident, though it is small, but very significant, very meaningful incident, we can understand the effect of karma, the law of karma. Now you may know in Mahabharata, there was a time when Bhima had to fight with Jarasandha before they did the Rajasya Yagya, right? So when Bhima killed Jarasandha, so whatever wealth Jarasandha had, part of that wealth Pandavas got from Jarasandha. So that wealth was collected by Jarasandha by torturing, killing mercilessly many small kings. So literally he looted those kings. Jarasandha looted those kings and collected their wealth. So part of that wealth was taken by the Pandavas after Bhima killed Jarasandha. They appointed Jarasandha's son as a king after that. But some wealth they took. So from that part of wealth, from Jarasandha's treasure, one crown was there, and that crown Parikshit Maharaj was wearing on that day. Now, what was the problem wearing that crown? Because what had happened before Parikshit Maharaj wore this crown and went for hunting in the forest? When he was in the forest, he saw one black, very ugly looking guy torturing a bull and a cow with a naked sword in his hand. And he was wearing clothes, attired like a king. So he was dressed up like a king. So when Parikshit Maharaj saw him, Parikshit Maharaj got very angry with him. He told him that you are looking like a king, and king is supposed to protect the citizens, not only human beings, but all the creatures. And what kind of king you are? What kind of Kshatriya you are? Kshatriya means the person who protects citizens from getting kshati, any harm. That is called Kshatriya. So what kind of Kshatriya you are? That instead of protecting them, you're torturing innocent animals. And I will not allow you to live in my kingdom, in my territories. So that person was looking like a king. He was Kali Yuga personified. Kali Yuga personified. Kali Yuga एक व्यक्ति के रूप में था वो. So Kali Yuga told him that I am Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga broke 3 legs of that bull. Bull was standing only on 1 leg. And cow, Mother Earth in the form of cow, she was crying. So Parishad Maharaj said that this is my kingdom, my territory, and I will not allow you to live here. So Kali Yuga told him, now it is my realm. Abhi mera samay aa gaya. Now it's my time to rule this creation. So Parishad Maharaj said that as long as I am alive, I will not allow you to live here. So Kali Yuga, in a very humble way, now this is deception, like cheating. When he thought, Kali Yuga thought, that he cannot win Parishad Maharaj, when he fights with him, जब वो द्वंद्व युद्ध करेगा तो उसको जीत नहीं सकता है. So then he became very humble. So he surrendered. He said, you give me few places where I can live. So Parishad Maharaj gave him 4 places where he could live, Kali Yuga could live. So one place of the intoxication, जहाँ पे मदिरापान होता है. Second place, slaughterhouse, जहाँ पर बहुत ही अबोध पशुओं का वध होता है बिना किसी कारण के. Slaughter houses. Third place, जहाँ पर जुआ होती है, gambling place. And fourth place, जहाँ पर व्यभिचार होता है, वैश्यों का आगमन होता है. So these 4 places were given to Kali Yuga initially, but Kali Yuga was not satisfied. He said, one more place you gave me where I can reside. So Parishad Maharaj said that you can go and reside at a place where there is wealth accumulated, which is earned by unlawful means, by irreligious means, immoral activities. So that wealth you can reside in. And in those days, wealth means, gemstones, pearls, diamonds, gold, silver, like that kind of thing. No currency notes. So when Parishad Maharaj wore that crown was from the treasure, part of the treasure, which Pandavas got from Jarasandha's kingdom. And Jarasandha had collected most of his wealth by torturing, killing very innocent kings, small kings, the kings who were smaller than him. So that means Jarasandha had accumulated that wealth by immoral activities, sinful activities. So this crown, when Parishad Maharaj wore, now see, Parishad Maharaj himself was very pious. But because he used that crown, which was brought by Pandavas from Jarasandha kingdom, and Jarasandha had got this crown by doing sinful activities, so Parishad Maharaj had to bear the consequences. So when he wore that crown, so it was unlawful. It was earned by Jarasandha by sinful activities. So Kali Yuga took a very subtle form and took shelter of that crown. So when Kali Yuga sat on that crown, Parishad Maharaj's intelligence was lost. He could not think rationally. The person who would be respectfully serve the sages, because he could not think rationally, he lost his intelligence because of the influence of Kali Yuga. He committed a sin. He went to visit the ashram, hermitage of a sage, and the sage was meditating, and Parishad Maharaj was feeling thirsty. So he shouted at the sage, and please give me some water, I'm thirsty. So sage did not listen because he was meditating. So Parishad Maharaj wanted to insult him. He saw one dead snake there. So he took that snake with his bow and wrapped it around, pulled that dead snake around that sage's neck. And he left. So one young Rishi Putra, a son of a Rishi in the neighborhood, he saw that, and he went and complained to that sage's son, Shringi Muni. And Shringi Muni was doing Sandhya in the river, Sandhya Archana in the river. So when that Rishi Putra, son of Rishi, told Shringi Muni that your father has been insulted by Parikshit Maharaj like this. There Shringi Rishi felt very angry. He took some water in his hand and he chanted some mantras and he cursed Parikshit Maharaj that the snake which you put around my father's neck, the dead snake which you put around my father's neck, that snake's neck will become alive and on the 7th day will come and bite you and become the cause of your death. He will kill you. So this is the curse Parikshit Maharaj got. Now, when that sage who was meditating around whose neck Parikshit Maharaj put the snake, when he came to his senses, when he opened his eyes, when he saw, he threw away the snake. And then with his yoga shakti, he came to know what happened. The whole scene, he could see how Parikshit Maharaj came to his ashram, how he did it, and how that neighbor, that's Rishiputra, son of sage, the sage, saw that and he went and complained to his son, and how his son, standing in the river water, cursed Parikshit Maharaj. So immediately went to Parikshit Maharaj's palace in the evening, and he told him what happened. Now Parikshit Maharaj was so potent, वो इतना पवित्र था, उसमें इतनी शक्ति थी, आध्यात्मिक शक्ति, he could have countered that curse. And in return, he could have cursed the Rishi Putra, but he didn't do that. Because he was in his own senses now. As a Kshatriya, he could not react in that way. He took out that crown, then he came to his own senses. Then he felt very regretful, very sorry. So when the Rishi told him, went and told him that this happened, my son has cursed you, Parikshit Maharaj with folded hand, he said, I accept your son's curse. I deserve this. This is the humility. In spite of having the power to counter that curse and in return curse that sage, his son, Parikshit Maharaj just very humbly accepted that curse. Because as a Kshatriya, it was his dharma to accept either blessing or curse from the sage. This was the kind of injunction the sages, the Kshatriya kings, warrior kings used to follow. So Parikshit Maharaj accepted that. And then Parikshit Maharaj renounced the world and he handed over his kingdom to his son. And then he went to the bank of the Ganges, renounced the world. He wanted to just wait for the death. He asked the sages what should be done. The sages were just going to perform the yagna. At that time, Sutta Goswami came, and this question was asked by Parikshit Maharaj to Shukdev Goswami, that what one should do at the time of death. And this is the starting point from which the whole Bhagavatam started. Do we have more time to continue or?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that maybe we should look at timing so it just becomes easier for you also to plan the session. So I thought 1 hour is good enough, Guruji?
I can go ahead. It's not a problem for me.
Yeah. No, I'm just talking to everybody.
Yes, I understand.
That, if we keep it for an hour, hour and a half, friends, because Sharma ji will have to plan, properly. So that जब भी हम मिलते हैं तो उनको भी पता होगा कि कितना समय है उनके पास. So, what do you all feel, everybody, about an hour and a half or 1 hour?
I think hour and a half is better because it's a vast
yes
thing. So I think we can 2 hours.
Continue. It's not a problem. We can continue.
Hour and a half is a good idea, so everybody can be there, है ना? So Sharma ji, hour and a half is a good idea. तो मुझे लगता है 8:30 बजे तक हम रख सकते हैं. और
so we have 20 more minutes, right?
Sorry?
We have 20 more minutes.
हाँ जी. तो इसी तरह से आप भी प्लान करिए. हाँ, every alternate Thursday of the month, 1.5 hours, 7 to 8:30 friends, okay? तो ये हमें याद रखना है.
और मैं आपसे विनती करूंगा, I would like to request everybody that if you can prepare some questions also to make it more interactive, relevant to the topic, then that will make it more interesting also.
Sure, sir. No problem.
Yeah. So at this point, anybody has any question, please?
एक क्वेश्चन है, बहुत शुरू का था तब.
बोलिए.
जब आपने बोला 84 लाख योनिस में 4 लाख योनिस ह्यूमन बीइंग की है, तो उसका थोड़ा डिटेल समझना था।
ये एकदम टेक्निकल हो जाती है बात, विस्तार से हो जाती है। अभी जैसे जैसे इन द ह्यूमन फॉर्म ऑफ लाइफ ऑल्सो 4 वर्ण होते हैं। वर्ण कौन से हैं?
ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, वैश्य, शूद्र।
करेक्ट। तो ये जो जैसे मानव समाज का human species of life is divided in 4 different categories. So similarly, roughly it is said that the 5% of the total number of species of life, 400,000, they are divided according to these varnas. So it is not exactly that 100,000 in each category, not like that, but roughly it is said in that way, right? So 4 varnas, 400,000 species of life. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Correct? Now these kind of principles were applicable in the previous ages. अभी ये जो वर्ण आश्रम जो है, वर्ण एंड आश्रम, आश्रम कौन से हैं?
बाल्यावस्था एंड
ब्रह्मचर्य,
ब्रह्मचर्य, गृहस्थ, वानप्रस्थ एंड देन संन्यास आश्रम।
करेक्ट। तो 4 वर्ण हैं, 4 varnas and 4 ashrams, right? 4 social orders of life and 4 individual orders of life, stages of life. तो ये जो विभाजन किया गया है, this explanation is given to Arjuna by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
Now this is not according to birth. Krishna did not tell Arjuna that he has divided the human form of life, human beings, in 4 categories according to their birth. No. What is the criteria?
According to their karma.
Yes. Janma se nahi hai. Guna and karma. What propensities they have and what skills they have. What kind of mindset they have. Like our body also is divided in 4 parts. Similarly, the head is considered as Brahmana, arms considered as Kshatriya, belly part is considered as Vaishya, because belly enjoys all the food we eat, no? And the legs part are considered as Shudra. Now all parts of our body, they are needed in order for the body to work properly, function properly. All parts are needed. The legs, the Shudra considered, right? Now, unfortunately, the ideas were propagated and promoted in our Indian society by the invaders that we have caste system. It was not caste system. Actually, this kind of division we'll see all around the world. Some are intellectual class people in the corporate company also. Some people are who make the decisions, what things are to be done. Then there are managers who allocate the work, who are in the finances, and there are labor class of people who work. So in a small corporate company also, the division is there. So at the larger society level also, the division is there. People are divided according to their propensity, their intellectual development, their skills. So that kind of division is acceptable in the corporate world, corporate company. Why can't we accept it? It gets accepted in the society, social system. In India, it was working like that, but unfortunately, it was misinterpreted as caste system. And it was promoted in that way, and then it was practiced in that way. कि किसी ब्राह्मण के घर में जो बच्चा जन्म लेता है वो ब्राह्मण हो गया automatically. It's not like that. Krishna didn't say like that. Of course, a person who is pious, who has done pious activities in the previous life, he will be allowed to take birth in that culture where the Vedic system is followed nicely. So he has that advantage, a head start in his life. ज्ञान उसको अपने आप प्राप्त हो जाएगा क्योंकि घर में है, वातावरण ही ऐसा, तो उसको ज्ञान मिलते रहेगा, right? So, like Prabhupada gave a very practical example. If there is a doctor and doctor gets a son, a baby boy is born in a doctor's family, and when he attends adulthood, so people will not go to get some medical advice from this doctor's son if he's not qualified as doctor. If he's not trained as a doctor, people will not go to him for treatments, right? So the same rule applies. If somebody has taken birth in the Brahmin family, but supposing he's doing business, so he's a Vaishya, he cannot be considered as Brahmana. On this point, I want to share with you a very interesting incident, very relevant. Long time ago, I happened to go to Taiwan for my Ayurvedic practice. So I met one Gujarati person there. His surname was Khatri. Khatri means Kshatriya, warrior. So when I was giving him diet plan, I was recommending dietary recommendation I was giving him. So when he went through the diet plan, he said, "But Sharma ji, आपने मांस के बारे में तो कुछ लिखा ही नहीं. What about meat?" I said, "Do you eat meat? You are a Gujarati. Normally, most of the Gujaratis are vegetarians." I was shocked. He said, "Yes, we eat. We are Gujaratis, but we eat." I asked him why. He said, "Because we are Khatri. We are Kshatriyas." So I asked him, "Are you a soldier in the Taiwan army?" He said, "No, I am a businessman. I have a garment business." I said, "You are not a Kshatriya. You're a businessman. You're a mercantile. You're a Vaishya. So how can you eat meat?" The army soldiers, army personnel, Kshatriyas, they are allowed to eat meat because they had to have that passion, that anger. Otherwise, without anger, they cannot fight. But other Varnas, they are not allowed generally. So when he heard that, it was first time he heard like that. He said, "Oh my God, I did not know this." And he said, "If this is the fact, then I will not eat meat from today." He was so honest. He gave up. He promised. He said, "From today, I will not eat meat because I'm not supposed to eat meat. I'm not a Kshatriya. I'm a Vaishya." So coming back to this point. So you raised this question about 400,000. So roughly it is said that the 4 Varnas, they are categorized according to this 5% of the species of life. Yes. Any other question?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody has any question? When we have discourses in the temple, so when we finish a discourse, we ask the audience, "Does anyone have any question?" So normally people are very quiet. So we say that, there are 2 situations when people, they don't ask questions. One is that everyone understood everything. Other situation is that nobody understood anything. So in these 2 situations, people, they don't ask any questions. So I'm just making it a bit humorous, joking, not criticizing anyone. So now continuing that, so when Parishit Maharaj asked this question from Shukdev Goswami, and Shukdev Goswami started telling Parishit Maharaj, he told him that if you hear about your ancestors, your grandfathers, your great-grandfathers, and your father's worshipable deity, Bhagwan, Krishna, his leelas, if you hear, you'll get moksha. Now, Shukdev Goswami had only 7 days to narrate the whole Bhagvatam, 18,000 shlokas. He had to narrate to Shukdev Goswami, to Parishit Maharaj. Listen. Now, here, very interesting point I want to touch. Many times people, I see very nice Radha Krishna painting behind you, Varshaji. Very nice picture there.
Thank you.
So Krishna is always seen with Radha, and we normally chant Radhe Krishna, right? But in the Bhagavatam, Srimati Radharani's name is not mentioned. Directly is not mentioned. Only at selected places, very few selected places. Indirectly, Shukdev Goswami chanted Srimati Radharani's name. So there are reasons given why Shukdev Goswami did not chant Radharani's name. Now, who is Shukdev Goswami? Shukdev Goswami, in his previous life, he was a parrot. Shuka means parrot. So he was parrot in the garden of Radha and Krishna. He used to play with Srimati Radharani. Radharani's pet parrot, very loving parrot.
Shuka.
Shuka, yes. So he took birth as Shukadeva Goswami as a Vyasadev's son. Now, he entered into Vyasadev's Vedavyas' wife because he was self-realized soul, very jnani. He did not want to come out from the womb of his mother. And Vyasadeva used to request to him, that please come out, please come out. He would say, no, I won't come out because I know this material world so much influenced by mode of ignorance, tamogun. And that tamogun will attack me and then I will forget everything. I will lose my jnana. So Vyasadeva assured him that you won't forget anything. Please come. So he said about when he was 15 or 16 years old, at that time he came out from the womb of his mother. And he was a grown-up man, teenager. So when he came out in that same form, without wearing any clothes, he renounced the world. He wanted to renounce the world. He ran to the forest. And Vyasadeva had to run after him to persuade him to come back. Shukadeva Goswami was not interested in the worldly matters. So when Shukadeva Goswami was running in the forest, Vedavyas was running after him, asking him to come back. They happened to pass by a river, a lake or a river. In that, some young yoginis, they were taking bath. Now Shukadeva Goswami, 16 years old, a teenager, in an without any clothes, naked form, passing by. The young girls were not affected. But when Vyasadeva came there, he arrived there, he was passing by, they started covering their body. So Vyasadeva was surprised. He asked them, I am like your grandfather. You're like my granddaughters, and you're feeling embarrassed in front of me. And my son, he's a teenager, and you do not cover your body seeing him. So young yoginis told Vyasadeva, your son is a transcendental. For him, it doesn't make any difference if somebody is wearing clothes or not. Because he sees the person inside the body. He doesn't focus on the external physical covering. So that's why we didn't bother to cover body. But you are a grihastha. Though you are a senior sage, you are a very learned scholar, but you are a grihastha. So you can differentiate between men's body and women's body, and who is wearing clothes and who is not. So you can differentiate that. You can discriminate that. So because of that, we are feeling embarrassed. So when Shukadeva Goswami kept running, so it is said that Vyasadeva, somewhere it is said that Vedavyas chanted the mantra, and somewhere it is said Vedavyas disciples, Shishyas chanted the mantra. The mantra which explains, which describes Krishna's mercy. It is in the 10th canto, 10वें स्कंद में है, भागवतम में, कृष्ण लीला में. तो उसका जो तात्पर्य ये है, the summary, the purport of that shloka is, Vyasadeva is saying that Krishna is so kind. When Putana, demoness, went to kill him, Putana was Kamsa's maid servant, or like a nurturing mother also, who had fed Kamsa when Kamsa was a small baby. So in a way, she was Kamsa's mother, foster mother. So that Putana, Kamsa sent Putana to kill small babies who were born in Gokul recently. So Putana had gone there to Nanda Maharaj's house, and she took a very beautiful gopi's form, and she went in the pretext of going to feed milk, breastfeed Krishna, stanpan karane wali thi. So she told Yashoda Mai, I want to breastfeed your Nana, your Lala, your Kanha. And she was looking so beautiful. So Yashoda Mai also did not bother. They were mesmerized. All the gopis were mesmerized by her beauty. So Putana had smeared some poison on her breast. She wanted to kill Krishna. So when she started feeding Krishna, so Krishna drank milk first from her breast, then sucked out all the poison, and then sucked out the prana from her chest and killed her. So when she was about to die, she came in her original form, in a very gigantic demoness form, Rakshasani. So it is said that Krishna, after killing Putana, he gave her the same position like that of Yashoda Mai. He did not differentiate between Putana and Yashoda Mai, because he said that Putana also came to serve me. Putana also came to breastfeed me. So she's same like Yashoda Mai. So Vyasadeva said that, see the compassion of this Krishna. He's so compassionate. Now the person who can liberate, who can give mukti, who can give the same position to that person of his mother, what can he do? How can he interact with those devotees who can lovingly serve him? A person who went to kill him, she got that position of his mother. Now what to speak of those devotees who render service to him, loving service to him? So what kind of position Krishna will give to such devotees? When Shukadeva Goswami, Param Jnani, heard that, he said, oh my God, I would like to know more about this person my father is talking about. And when he heard that curiosity developed, that interest developed to know more about Krishna. Shukadeva Goswami came back. Then he told Vedavas, you tell me more about this person, about you spoke in forest. And then Vyasadeva narrated the whole Bhagavatam to him. So this Bhagavatam, what he learned from his father, from his guru, Vedavyas, that same Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami recited. Now, when he started reciting, of course, Vedavyas mentioned to him about the loving relationship between Radha and Krishna, very pure, transcendental. Now, this kind of love, what we talk about, the word we use, love between Krishna and Radha, we should not misunderstand what kind of love we see between young boys and girls in this material world. In the material world, actually, it's a lust, it's not a love. It's not love. So between Radha and Krishna is a pure love. So we should not misunderstand. Actually, if we consider it in that way, and we see Krishna and Radha in that way, it's an offense. So now, Shukadeva Goswami, though he heard all these things, the pastimes of Krishna and Radha, Leelas, but he did not narrate any single pastime like that. I mean, narrated, but he did not specifically chanted Radharani's name. So people ask these questions. Why did Shukadeva Goswami do that? Why did he say about Radharani? A single shloka. So the Vaishnavas give the reason. One reason is that Parikshit Maharaj had only 1 week left before his death. And Shukadeva Goswami, whenever he would hear or we would chant Radharani's name, he would go in trance. Uska dhyan lag jata, samadhi lag jata. Then he was not sure that unki samadhi kabhi tutegi, kabhi khulegi. It may go more than 1 week. So then he will not be able to narrate any pastimes anymore to Parikshit Maharaj. And Parikshit Maharaj won't get liberated. So to avoid that kind of situation, one reason is that Shukadeva Goswami did not utter Radharani's name. Another reason is because for Shukadeva Goswami, Radharani is like his guru. Now, out of respect, many times, we don't very casually chant our guru's name. When we say about our guru, we say his name, we utter his name, we chant his name very respectfully. So Shukadeva Goswami thought that he was not qualified to chant Radharani's name. And because of that, he did it. And the reason is, this is like, casually this reason is mentioned. Like in our society also, we say in our Indian culture, we must be familiar with married women, normally traditional women, they don't kind of say their husband's name, right? Sunte ho, ye karo, wo karo. They won't say, call him by name, by his personal name. They may call him by other different names, but not his personal name, out of respect. And daughters-in-law also in the family, they would not call their mother-in-law by name, out of respect. So this social etiquette also, Shukdev Goswami was following. Then because Radharani is very senior to him, how could he chant his name, her name? He thought that he was not qualified. And he thought in that way that it would be disrespectful towards Srimati Radharani if he chanted her name. Very deep thinking. So because of that, he did not openly chanted in any shloka Srimati Radharani's name in any of these 18,000 shlokas. Indirectly in very few selected shlokas, but not openly. So now since we are talking about Srimati Radharani, I will conclude with this discussion. How many of you are clear about the fact of how many of you have this kind of confusion whether Srimati Radharani was married to Krishna or not?
She wasn't.
She wasn't?
She wasn't married.
She wasn't married or she was not married to Krishna?
She was not married to Krishna. और उनसे थोड़ी बड़ी भी थी और शायद रिश्ते में बुआ भी लगती थी. And anyways, Lord Krishna ने 16 की एज में तो वो छोड़ दिया था. That place and पढ़ने चला.
Okay. Anybody else would like to say?
Yeah, she was Radha.
Sorry? I can't hear.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Radharani was married to a different person named Ayan Ghosh.
Okay. Ayan Ghosh sounds like Bengali.
Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else would like to say something?
Prabhuji, Radharani is the Atranga Shakti of Krishna. So Krishna and Radha are same.
Okay. Yes, in a way, yes. See, Radharani is a Ladini Shakti of Krishna, pleasure potency of Krishna. You know, जो कृष्णा को प्रसन्न लगती है, प्रसन्नता, कृष्ण की जो प्रसन्नता है, उसका जो व्यक्तिगत रूप है वो श्रीमती राधारानी है. Ladini Shakti, Lad, you know, Ullas. So, like pleasure potency Srimati Radharani. Now, to clarify this point, if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned clearly that Srimati Radharani was married to Krishna. When she was about 5, Lord Brahma himself performed the wedding ceremony.
I have also read somewhere. I don't remember. That's why I don't.
Yeah. So if you go to Vrindavan and if you ask some local Brijavasis, they will take you to the tree under which the wedding ceremony of Srimati Radharani Krishna was performed by Lord Brahma himself. So when they were small children, before Krishna went to Mathura, so wedding ceremony was done. And again, there was a time, some of you may be knowing about Brahma Vimohana Leela. You know, when Brahma stole Krishna's friends,
Yes.
covered boys and calves,
For
so
1
for
year.
1 year, he kept them in Brahmaloka,
Yes, yes,
in Yoga Nidra.
yes.
So it was based on the time calculation on the Earth planet, earthly calculation, it was 1 year. So during that 1 year, Purnamasi, who was the script writer of all Krishna's Leelas, in a way, so she told all the gopis that this 1 year period is very, very auspicious. So you should get all your boys and girls get married during this 1 year. Otherwise, after 1 year, it will take very long time for them to get married. In those days, the boys and girls used to get married in very early age, small age, young age. So everybody got ready. So during that Vimohan Leela time, 1 year time, when Krishna's all friends were stolen by Brahma and his calves, so Krishna had expanded himself in the form of all the Gopas, all the cowherd boys. So at that time, Srimati Radharani got married to Krishna. At that time, the Gopa whose form Krishna had taken, his name is Abhimanyu. His name also is Abhimanyu. So Radharani got married to Abhimanyu, but actually she got married to Krishna. And later on, when the whole Vimohan Leela was finished, and then the original Abhimanyu was there, and then Srimati Radharani lived with him. But originally she got married to Abhimanyu. And some places it is mentioned that it was another Gopa with who Radharani got married in the form of, Krishna was in that form. And later on, when she got married to Abhimanyu, at that time also, Krishna cheated. Krishna cheated in a way that, Abhimanyu was away from the wedding ceremony arena, and Radharani happened to marry Krishna again. So that was the third time Srimati Radharani got married to Krishna. So the summary is that, to conclude that point, yes, Srimati Radharani got married to Krishna. And that's why, generally said, Radhapati, Krishna is called Radhapati also. Radhapati Shri Krishna Bhagwan ki jai, right? Many times you might have heard that, people say that. So yes, he's a Radhapati also. And they are eternal. They are eternally together. They cannot be separated. Like Radharani is Krishna's pleasure potency. Now, how can pleasure potency be separated from us? How can that feeling of joy, feeling of happiness, feeling of bliss can be separated from our heart? That's part of our system, right? So same way, Radharani is the pleasure potency of Krishna. She is inseparable part of Krishna. She cannot be separated. These both cannot be separated from each other. Here I want to mention to you one incident in Delhi when Prabhupada installed the deities in the Parthasarathi temple. So that deity is called Parthasarathi Krishna. Sorry, Radha Parthasarathi, not Parthasarathi Krishna, Radha Parthasarathi. So some Vaishnavas, they objected because they had some limited kind of understanding about the loving exchanges between Krishna and Radha, Srimati Radharani. So they said Parthasarathi means, Krishna is on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And Krishna's loving exchanges with Srimati Radharani was only in Vrindavan. So how can you name the deities as Radha Parthasarathi? So Prabhupada told them that you cannot imagine Krishna without Srimati Radharani. They are inseparable. They cannot be separated. Krishna is always in, Radharani is always in Krishna's heart, and Krishna is always in Radharani's heart. So that explanation which Prabhupada gave, Vaishnavas very humbly accepted that. They said, "You're right, Swamiji." So in future, when this kind of discussion happens, when this kind of confusion, some people they bring up, so try to clarify this point. Yes, Krishna and Radharani officially also in this world, they got married more than once.
ब्रिज में एक जगह है माठ, वहां पर भांडीर वन में है उनका स्थान, जहाँ पे उनका विवाह हुआ था.
Correct. Yes, you're right. Yes.
अभी भी है वहाँ एक मंदिर, वो पेड़ है एंड मंदिर है और आश्रम जैसा.
करेक्ट. वो वृक्ष के नीचे जहाँ पे ब्रह्मा जी ने पुरोहित होके वो वहाँ पे पंडित होके उनका विवाह कराया था, संस्कार कराया था वो.
जी.
So coming to this point that these are the reasons mentioned why Shukadeva Goswami did not openly, directly chanted the name of Srimati Radharani. There were some reasons. And he focused on the important points. Now, here, Parishit Maharaj became an instrument. He became an instrument to bring Krishna's Leelas in the written, word form for the benefit of people like us. We can take advantage of that. When we hear, when we chant, we discuss, we read, it has purifying effect on our consciousness. Though It may not have the overnight transforming effect because our contamination can be very, very strong, very dense. So it may take time, but as long as the process continues, it will have the effect. And it may be possible that, even though we may do this, but our contamination may take over at the time of our death, and we are not able to remember any Krishna's pastime, even after hearing, listening, discussing, reading, watching sometimes some programs on Krishna Leela. Still, it may happen due to our very heavy sinful activities. At the time of death, we are not able to chant Krishna's name. But see Krishna's kindness, Krishna's magnanimity, Krishna's compassion, Krishna's love, and his mercy, what he shows towards people like us. Krishna gives this promise that people who have chanted my name, this Prabhupada said, Krishna said that people who have chanted my name, even by mistake, even not intentionally, not willingly, not attentively, just by mistake, by jokingly also, or in a critical way also, hey Krishna, like that, I will not forget that person. I will not forget that person that he chanted my name once in his lifetime. I will forgive such persons all sinful activities. I will forgive, but I will not forget that he remembered me. He chanted my name. And at the time of death, when he needs my help the most, I promise that I will go in front of him, and through my other instruments, through other people around, I will make him hear my name. And when he does that, he will be liberated. This is Krishna's mercy. So what I said in the earlier part of the discussion, that we are very fallen. That's why we have taken birth in this Kali Yuga. But we are very fortunate also that in this Kali Yuga, on the people who are born in this Kali Yuga, Krishna bestows his unconditional mercy. No conditions apply. So from that perspective, we are much more fortunate than people who are born in Satya Yuga, in Treta Yuga, in Dwapar Yuga. In this context, from this perspective, we are most fortunate. So we need to take advantage of this. What Krishna has given us this chance in the human form, we should take the advantage of this. So I will stop here. If somebody wants to ask any question before we wind up today's session.
That's very interesting. Good session. Interesting.
बहुत ही beautiful था, और thank God that we are fortunate to have you talking to us about such beautiful stories. I call them stories because for us at this moment it's stories of great knowledge that
Yes.
you're sharing with us. So
Yes.
thank you, Sharma ji, really from the bottom of my heart. And I also say thank you on behalf of everybody in Thinking Thursday to Varsha ji. Varsha ji हमेशा हमें याद दिलाती है that there are speakers and speakers and speakers whom she knows, and so we are fortunate to have Varsha with us. And Sharma ji, आप भी हमारे साथ हैं, जुड़े रहिए. And thank you so much everybody for coming in. Please remember and remind all our friends in the group that 7 baje hai. Okay, every alternate Thursday 7 o'clock. Huh? Because generally में 8 बजे मिलते हैं, but this is going to be at 7.
And I want to express my gratitude also to all of you, especially to Varshaji and yourself. I'm very fortunate to have audience like you. And especially Varshaji, I could see that, उनके हृदय में इतना भक्ति भाव उमड़ रहा है,
बिल्कुल.
जो उनकी आंखों में से झलक रहा था.
हाँ.
A great pleasure to have you, Sharma ji. Really, I mean, to be very honest, I haven't heard Bhagvatam, so I'm really excited, and I mean I'm very enthusiastic and very keen to hear about Bhagvatam.
Yeah.
So, Maharaj ji, Maharaji, as you know, he always talks about the philosophy, not the stories. So he mostly focuses on the philosophy part, not on the stories, you know.
Yeah.
So once in a while he would tell us stories, but you know, most of the time he focuses on philosophy. So I'm very interested to hear the stories, you know, of the Bhagavatam. And also even I mean, I would like, I mean, once we finish once we get over the Bhagavatam, I would like to hear even, you know, what's that? Bhrigu Shastra? No.
Raghu Samhita for astrology you're talking about?
No, not that. No, what is that? That you know, they usually do the part when they have, you know, at the time of death. They usually
Garud
Garud
Puran.
Garud
हाँ, वो
Puran.
भी बहुत ही
जरूर।
इंटरेस्टिंग है और मुझे लगता है शर्मा जी अगर आप let's continue with this at this
Yes.
moment. We are
Yes.
getting greedy. जैसे आपने कहा ना कि कलयुग में हमारे भीतर इतने सारे भाव है और ये भाव सब ऐसे ही है, ग्रीड के भाव है. But I think we are
This
greedy
kind
for
of greed
knowledge.
is good. This kind
Very
of
true. Yes.
This kind of
Yes.
greed is good. इसलिए मैं कह रही हूँ
Yes.
कि ये हमारे लिए तो knowledge है. So for
हाँ.
us it's really wonderful. मैंने भी कभी सुना नहीं है. तो
हाँ.
I mean वर्षा जी ने मुझे कहा कि ये this can happen. I said just tell शर्मा जी करना ही है हमको. चाहे कुछ
I'm
भी
really,
हो.
really thankful to you that you are giving me opportunity to share this Krishna Leela with all of you.
नहीं,
You know, जब भी भगवान की कृपा होती है तभी ऐसा अवसर प्राप्त होता है कि हम ऐसा कुछ बोल सके.
बिल्कुल. और भगवान की हम पे कृपा है कि ये this is the अवसर कि हम ये सब बातें सुन सके. So I think both of us are in a good space.
और ये भी अच्छी बात है कि कहीं पे भी बैठे हो लेकिन सुन सकते
हाँ, कितनी
बैठे
सुंदर
हैं
बात है ना.
लेकिन सुन
Yes.
सकते हैं.
सुन सकते.
Yes.
God has made it so
God.
easy in Kali Yuga, you know what you know what
Yes.
you say.
Correct.
So, yeah,
Because he wants that you listen. So he
Exactly.
decided कि
exactly.
भाई चाहे कुछ भी हो आपको बातें सुननी है.
Yes.
So
हाँ.
this whole virtual space was created by him.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Sharma ji. See you again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, our next class will be on 28th, Sharma ji. क्योंकि already
28th of
speakers है, हाँ. तो 28th को हमारा next class होगा. उसके बाद alternate होगा.
Okay. Okay.
उसके बाद you can plan it properly. But
Okay.
आपका next class 28th को होगा. 28th
Okay.
April, 7 o'clock. Okay.
So thank you once again, everybody. And if I committed any offense, please forgive me for all those offenses.
Thank you.
ऐसा आपको नहीं कहना चाहिए. Thank you,
And Varsha
everybody.
Thank you so much for giving us so much of knowledge about it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna, everybody.
And if you have any questions, you can always reach out and keep,
Yes.
like Sharma ji ने कहा कि आप अपने questions लिख दीजिए. So next time when he comes in, you can ask the questions, you know.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so don't just keep asking questions, you know. आप लिख लीजिए. It will be a good thing for us to have a little diary because we can write everything that we are learning plus we can write our questions. तो बहुत अच्छा रहेगा, you know, सीखने के लिए हम सबको.
And it's very good point you mentioned, Trupti ji, because I want to mention also कभी संकोच नहीं करना कि ओ ये मेरा प्रश्न इतना सरल है मुझे नहीं पूछना चाहिए, मुझे संकोच होता है, शर्म आती है, ऐसा कभी नहीं करना. Our guru used to say that, you know, when it comes to spiritual topic, one should not hesitate to ask questions.
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल.
So we should not hold ourselves back thinking, oh, it is very embarrassing to ask question like this. Very simple question. What others will think about me? So don't have that kind of concept in mind.
जब हमारे साथ आप जैसे गुरु है तो हमें संकोच करना ही नहीं चाहिए. So I think that's most important for us. चलिए, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste
Hare
to
Krishna.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye.